Good evening. It's Friday, it's 8 o'clock, and it's time to talk fishing. Yes, folks, it's the Matt Hayes Fishing Show again, and what an amazing show that I've got lined up for you tonight. Just to get a little bit of a taster for that, let's have a quick look of what's in tonight's show, because it really is absolutely action-packed. Well, for a start off, we've got Babs Kaszewski again, fishing with Cecilia Grunberg when they try to catch Cecilia's first catfish. The Duke's going to be here talking about some of his favourite fishing lures, and Tobias Fran Strom showing us 3 ways to catch perch. I'll be in the wilderness with a brand new unseen episode of Fishing Tales, and I'll be showing you how to spool up your carp reel and then how to cast further and with more accuracy. So it's going to be a heck of a show, as I think you can see. And of course, the other thing is it's all about your pictures, and there are plenty of those coming up tonight. I've said before, this is the people's show. It gets bigger every week. The most important thing, folks, is for you to share, because that's what grows the show more quickly than anything else. And anybody that shares tonight's show so that people can see the catch up, shares the post, will actually automatically qualify for a prize drawing when I announce full details of next week. But suffice to say, someone is going to win a very special fishing holiday, and if you share the live posts, you will automatically qualify for that draw, and there'll be more about that next week. Well, I've already mentioned that there's some fantastic photographs coming up. Let's just have a look at the prizes for tonight's show, which are absolutely amazing. I've got a pair, first of all, as the top prize. Unfortunately, there is only one, of Penn Affinity Mark II fishing reels. Now, these are really special reels. They're lightweight graphite frame reels with side plates, forged and machined long aluminium spool. Very nice shape for distance, as you'll see later on. It's got carbon drag washers, manual bail arm with slow oscillation, a whole pile of features, and it's a fantastic prize. So the best picture of the evening is going to win not one but 2 of these beauties, and you'll see how to spool them up to great effect later on in a wonderful film from George Howard. Good evening, Kim Drury, Steve Keeler, Susan Ferrer, Lee Stevenson, Gareth Manifold, how are you? Brian Smith, Xenia Drury Gregorek, coming up later on, Aaron Chuck, Carl Smith, Craig Palmer, Rita Straw and Lee Mule. I'll come back. Keep putting up your comments, folks. Tell me where you're watching from if you can, and keep trying on the shout outs, because they do come up the screen very quickly. So if you don't make it first time, you might well get it next time. I will keep shouting out as the show goes on. Let's just have a look at the second prize. I've got 10 spools of these, but I actually think that I've awarded 11 or 12. But anyway, that doesn't matter. It's very important, if you can, to watch the whole show, because there is so much coming up in this show. Not just the features, the quality of the pictures, but also announcing the winners. So the real oxygen of the Matt Hayes Fishing Show is shares and watch duration. So please stay with me. It's going to be a heck of a show. Now, Berkeley Connect is a super line. I've got about a dozen, it seems, bulk spools of £12 to give away tonight as prizes. It's a wonderful line, actually. It's got a high sink rate, and it's very well coated, giving it extra abrasion resistance. Mickey and I have used this line quite regularly, and it's very, very good. So well worth winning. Anyway, I think the first thing to do is to dive into our first feature from none other than Babs Kaszewski. Now, I think Babs is watching tonight. The comments are flying up the screen. Neil Fellows, Ian Webster, Thomas Wilson, Scott Bullen, good evening to you, sir. Nigel Barradell, evening. Nixie Links, Fairweather Fisherman, Adam Keynes and Harvey Leggett, my mum and dad, and in fact anyone who is watching from my family. Anyway, talking about Babs Kaszewski, I worked with Babs a few years ago when we made a short series together, which was called Castaways. I called it Outcast last time. It wasn't, it was Castaways. And I realised during the shooting of Castaways just what an amazing talent Babs is. And I think, judging by the reaction to her last time, then I'm pretty sure that this is going to be very, very popular. So let me set the scene. Richard Lee, Finlay Smeaton, Alex Cowan, Shane Heffer, Tom Barlam, and Glasgow Junior Dom Storer, Paul Harrison. So let me just set the scene here. I believe that Cecilia Grunberg is a Zander fisher predominantly, and Cecilia comes from Sweden. In fact, I believe that she spends quite a lot of her time working as a Zander fishing guide, but she'd never actually caught a catfish. So our girl Babs decided that she was the lady to set that right, and I believe that a trip was arranged. Now, you'll probably see from the background they might be fishing in Spain, but let me tell you, this is really special because they're actually fishing from the shore with lures. So just take a look at what I've got to show you here, if I can find it. Where's she gone, Babs?
You want to start with a 2-meter fish right now?
No, I want to start with like 60 centimeters.
So Ceci and me fish now from the shoreline for catfish. So we have prepared our stuff. We fish really heavy lures, and we found a place where a lot of oxygen is in the water because the water is really warm. And yeah, we have a couple of casts here, try that, and then on the afternoon we are back on the water with the boat.
Yay!
Yay! Show you now the Spanish catfish. Look how beautiful they are.
And so beautiful. These are so cool.
Wow. Great, huh? Now it's your turn. Catfish! So it's your first catfish, Sissy.
Yay! On casting, it's so fun. The small one,
Yeah.
the catfish.
Yeah, wait, I'll help you with the handling, Norman. Oh, it's a super cute baby. Look at
Catfish baby.
Oh, but it is really, really cute. Hold that.
Okay, go bigger. Go bigger. Bye bye.
High five. Eee!
Well, how about that? I think lots of likes, loves, whoops and wows for the one and only Babs Kaszewski, joined on this occasion by yet another rising female star, Cecilia Grunberg, who proved there that not only is she a dab hand with the Zander, but she can also catch her first catfish on a lure, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. You know, it's not that long ago when we were struggling to catch catfish on baits other than live baits, and now all these years later the lure development has gone so far that we can actually think about catching these fantastic fish using lures, and dare I say it, even flies. Think of that. Anyone who's had some action on fly, and if you've got any video, please make sure you send it into the show. Now, Those of you who appreciate that sort of content, please send up the likes and loves, because I'm desperate to get Babs to send us something else in for next week. And I'm sure that if you really send it up for as big as you can, then I'm pretty sure that we'll get something. But she is amazing, and just loving this material, Babs. I know that you're watching, so thanks a million for that. Well done, Cecilia. And more stuff from you as well, please. If you're out zander fishing in Sweden, Cecilia, we'd love to see your stuff, wouldn't we, folks? We definitely would. I know we would. So please send that in. Now, let's have a look at some pictures. First of all, can I just say to you that with pictures, it's quite important, if you want your prizes, that you actually get the right email address, which I usually post at the end of the show. So the email address that you have to use is matthaysfishingshow@outlook.com. That's matthaysfishingshow@outlook.com. So if you're one of the prize winners tonight, that's the email address that you should use. And please, everybody, try and claim your prizes promptly, because some of it drags on all week. Try and get on it, will you? And of course, if you are potentially a prize winner, you should be watching till the end, because right at the end of the show, which will probably be just over an hour, I think, I will be announcing the winners. Stuart Powell, Rita Straw, Michael Harrington, Raymond Balfe, saying brilliant, Babs. Send it up for Babs, everybody. She is absolutely amazing. Darren Davis from Real Fisherman magazine, Shay Lumney, Paul Bottrill saying that was fantastic. I totally agree. And Stephen Morton loves catfish as well. Absolutely amazing. Back to these pictures. Let's have a look at this one. This is fascinating. Now, this one is actually Declan Murray and his mum, Elizabeth, and his dad, Tommy. How amazing is this picture? I'm not quite sure when it was, but it's a good few years ago. I'm guessing there, Declan, late 40s, maybe early 50s. But anyway, it is a fantastic picture. So let's hear it for Declan, everybody, for digging that one out, because what a wonderful picture taken over in Ireland. Who else have we got? Well, another last gasper here. This is actually France Setterfield. Now, those of you who have been taking part in the Why We Fish photographic competition this week will know that I asked you for photographs of beautiful fish. Well, boy, did you respond. And this one is Frank's Warwickshire Avon personal best. And this is a serious fish from that river. Well done, Frank. Of £16. A dream barbel. If barbel are your favourite fish, you know what to do, because as I've said to you before, you drive the content in this show. It's the people's show. So you tell me about what you like. I watch the catch up the same way as you do, and that tells me what I need to be shown in the future. And that's why this show keeps on growing. So please keep on watching and keep on sharing. Stay with me. Now, this is Vera Charles. I asked for beautiful fish. Well, let's be fair, they don't come much more beautiful than this. This is a mirror carp, obviously, but it's what we call a fully scaled mirror. They are definite mirror scales. It's not a common carp, even though it may look like one. But look at that incredible collection of mirror scales. There only appears to be just about one missing, and that's somewhere up near the dorsal. It may have come off during spawning, or may not have been there at all, of course. You just don't know with these things. But that, I think you'll agree, is an absolutely superb mirror carp. Thank you, Vera, for that. Now, how about this for a photograph? This one is really special because it shows the power of using your imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Tudor Jones and the Galaxies. Now, you might be thinking I've lost my marbles, but I promise you I haven't. In fact, this is a photograph that Tudor took of the surface of a river while standing on a bridge, and he pushed up the contrast a little bit, and there was dust particles floating down the river. And when he took this photograph, as he rightly says, it actually looks like nebula and galaxies and everything. What an amazing spot. And you know, that really is what fishing is all about. That if you can go out and take away a moment like that, never mind the fish, it will stay with you for the rest of your life. There is so much beauty in the fishing world around us, and I think that Tudor has captured it absolutely perfectly with that shot there. And so too has Tom Jarvis with this wonderful family picture of a pair of very beautiful carp. I asked for fine specimens, and fine specimens they all are. The people and the carp. And that's a wonderful, wonderful family scene, lads, and I think lasses. Absolutely brilliant. Very, very well done indeed. Now we're going to come back to the pictures and of course a little bit more information later on about the prizes, because don't forget I will actually be giving a tutorial not just on how to spool up your fishing reel, but also how to actually cast for distance and accuracy. It's very simple. I've got a lovely slow motion sequence. If that's the sort of thing you like, then of course you know what to do. Send up the likes, the loves. You can't hit those buttons often enough for me, let me tell you, because this show and the popularity of this show is all about the traffic. Share, 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 and watch for as long as you can. Now, loads of stuff coming up later on. Let's just hear from one of our regular reporters, and I know she's very popular on the show, and that's Xenia Drury-Gregorek. Let's see what she's been up to
Hi
this
Matt
week.
and everyone at home. If those of you who don't know me, my name's Xenia Drury-Gregorek and I live at Anglers El Dorado, and I've been multitasking because we feed our fish every day, and I've been practicing my casting by spomming out the food, so that's been great fun. Fishing Fun with Zen has been great. Last week we did fun fishy fat posters, and next week we're going to ask all the kids out there to share their favourite fishing photo but include the story behind it, so really looking forward to that. Wonderful seeing all of Matt's live work. The shows are going down a treat, so well done and congratulations Matt in creating such an entertaining show, and I love being a part of it, so thank you, because I look forward to this every single week. And all I will say to everyone at home is keep positive, be kind, have a lovely week, and hopefully I will see you this time next week, same place. In the meantime, have a look at where I am right now. Take care.
Yes, well, I don't think we should have any more of that sort of thing, young Xenia Drury-Gregorek, because we're all salivating now. Let's hear it for Xenia. I know she's really popular, and you know, you've got quite a gang of female fishers now appearing in this show, and that's great, you know, because they're young, they're full of ideas, they're full of adventure, and they're delivering great stuff. Let me tell you, in Babs Kashevsky's case, to deliver material of that quality, media of that quality in a foreign language is absolutely astonishing. So well done, Babs. Well done, Xenia. And more from them, I'm sure, in future episodes. Now, I just want to pause for a moment to think about perch fishing. I know it's painful, but we've got to do these things. And I've got a couple of things coming up pretty much back to back now. The first one is an update from the Duke. And please send it up for the Duke, everybody, because I know that he's watching this evening, and he'll be there with the Duchess at his seat in Market Deeping, no doubt reclining by the fire with a glass of wine, and fishermen, Charlotte Luce, Terry Whittington, Shane Heffer, Nigel Sharp, Phil Lightbone, Simon Mayo, Charlotte Luce again, Jamie Roos, Mike Davis, Andy Fordham, Adrian Fawn. Well, I'll be doing some more shout outs fairly soon. Let's just get back to that report from the Duke, because I know that he's been rattling around in his garage recently, and I've always been fascinated whenever I've managed to get into the Duke's garage. It's really, really interesting because there's lots of fantastic lures in there. And, you know, I've tried coming out with my pockets stuffed full, but the trouble is the treble hooks keep getting stuck in the material, you know. So I end up with my hand pinned and I get caught. Anyway, back to the Duke's lure stash. This film shows just a bit of it, right? But what he's managed to find are a couple of really fantastic classic lures. I think you'll love this. It's classic Duke. Just have a look at this.
So what I'm doing is just going through some of my old lures, looking for some of my old favourites. And do you know, I found a couple of real old favourites that probably go back to the early 70s. Lures that I've not used in 40 years or more. And I can't believe I found this one. This was my original Abu high-low. It's the 28 gram version, and I've repainted this one so many times. It was bought as a red head pattern. Have a look at that. And red head's just a great all-round colour to use anywhere. I don't know why, because you don't see fish with red heads, but pike really love to attack this pattern. And I used it a lot in the old days on the Severn and on the fens, caught loads of good pike on it. And then also I found the very first Big S that I ever bought, Shakespeare Big S. This is the Perch pattern. I've repainted it a little bit, put a bit of red on it just to try and make it more attractive to the pike. And again, just like the high-low, this is a lure that, you know, it's still around today. It stood the test of time. And you know, just for old time's sake, when I go out lure fishing, when we're allowed to go again, these are the two I'm going to take with me. The high-low and the Big S. Two of my old favourites, and you can still buy them today.
Well, how about that, everybody? Let's hear it for the Duke, a man who was supposed to have retired about 5 or 6 years ago, but I won't let him. He keeps turning up as long as we keep showing our appreciation for a living legend of our sport, and a man whose enthusiasm for fishing is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens when we're all out fishing again and the Duke's sending in stuff from the bank. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. I'll be doing the same. I hope you'll be doing the same. And of course, we'll be moving away from why we fish to being back on the bank again. And then those pictures are all going to be about the catch of the week. And I'll be announcing a new competition at the appropriate point in which you'll be able to compete for some fabulous new prizes and a really neat idea I've got for catch of the week. And I know you're going to love it. I've been so inspired by all your pictures that it just has to be done. But ladies and gentlemen, please send it up for the Duke. Remember that you can't like and love and hit that button hard enough in terms of the popularity of the show. And I know that Mick is absolutely among the most popular, if not the most popular. So please show your appreciation there. Now, on the subject of lures, I'd like to introduce you to a Swedish gentleman called Tobias Strom. Now, I've seen quite a lot of Tobias's posts over the last year or so on social media, particularly since I became more involved with Abu Garcia. And Tobias is also an ambassador for that company, and he's an extremely good lure fisherman. There is some incredible lure fishing available in Sweden. Many years ago, the Duke and I used to go across to Sweden on lure fishing trips on the Baltic Sea for pike. And they were some of the best fishing trips that I've ever been on. Well, I know that Tobias also fishes that neck of the woods. He's a very good lure fisherman. And what he's going to show us here is 3 lures to catch perch, 3 ways to catch perch. And the first one that you're going to see is using one of the Abu Garcia McPerch, McSnack type range. I think this one is a McPerch. It is a perch pattern, and it's his first choice. So without further ado, let's just get Tobias on the screen. There he is, just holding up the first lure, which has got a paddle tail. He's going to use a bait casting outfit. Interesting. It doesn't seem to be struggling for distance. And there he is. Now, with this particular lure, I've got a feeling he hooks. Yes, he does. On the drop. He hooks on the drop, quite often the way with the jig style lure. And there's perch number 1 caught in double quick time. Well, let's hear it for Tobias, because that really didn't take long. There's the lure on a jig head. There's a bladed lure. Now, this is a Berkeley power blade. And this is one of a new range of power blades, which have got very interesting colours. You can rip these, you can jig them, you can troll them, you can fish them deep, shallow. Same outfit. It does cast well. I think it's a Revo X casting outfit. Stop, spin, stop. So he's spinning and stopping with this one. Just wiggling it a little bit, spin, stop, and stopping again. And spinning And come on, surely you've got to hook a fish now after you've been on this long. And he's missed it. And that's often the way they do. Oh, and he's got it this time, I think. Yeah, he's just got it on the second take. Often they nip at this with these small lures, you know, and they'll just nip at them, even though they're tiny. And there he is, the lad. And there is perch number 2 on a blade power bait and a cutter now. This is a plug. Slightly different Revo casting outfit, very colourful, and an easy cast. Looks nice actually. And he's just spin stopping and ripping it a little bit. Look at that rip he's making, just to shake the plug, just to give it that attractive little wiggle and rattle. Will it work though? Yeah. Oh, that was a lovely, lovely take, right on the rattle. And there you go. So this is now the 3rd way to catch a perch. What a fantastic swim. It's a lovely fish too. They are beautiful, aren't they? I know perch are really popular on this show, and rightly so, everybody, because they're one of my favourite fish. He's using a lip hold there. It's not so common in the UK, but the bass anglers use the lip hold all of the time. Let's hear it for Tobias. I thought that was actually a superb tutorial. 3 different styles of lures, beautifully illustrated that you can work different types of lures in different ways. And often it is those little differences that you impart in the action of the lure by spin stopping or shaking it or speeding it up that actually make all the difference, not just with perch, but with pike, with catfish, with any type of predatory fish, doesn't it? Terry Whittington, Stephen Morton says, what a whacker, great stripey. Abraham Aitchison, Amy Powell, nice perch. Andy Jones, John Carson, Mark Stone says jammy. Jodie Stafford, Chris Falcon, Sydney Martin. I think everybody's really enjoyed that from Tobias. So please send up your appreciation for him. And I'd love to see more stuff from you, Tobias, in the future, because that obviously seems very popular. Now, one of the things about this show is that I do like to bring to you kind of topical subjects if I get the opportunity and if I think they're relevant. And one of the things that caught my eye this week was some of the work being done on social media by the Angling Trust and their new chief, Jamie Cook. Now, I've been very critical of the Trust in the past, and at times I think it's been very warranted, frankly. However, I've had dialogue with Jamie since he took over as head of the Trust, and he asked me to judge him on his actions. Well, all I can say is that this week the Trust submitted to the government a set of proposals outlining a way in which angling could become a very safe gateway to ending the lockdown, one of the first sports to end with the lockdown, and a set of guidelines and ideas as to how to do it. So on this occasion, far from having any criticism whatsoever, I think credit is where it's due, folks, and I'd like you to send it up for the Angling Trust and for Jamie Cook in particular, who is the new incoming head of the Angling Trust, has taken responsibility and shown some leadership, and the social media of the Trust is reflecting his efforts. Jamie, you're not off the hook. You know I'll always hold your feet to the fire, mate, but that's why I'm here. But on this occasion, and I'm sure on future occasions, for what I've seen so far, very well done, mate. So I just thought you might enjoy that bit of news. Now, what I must tell you about coming up for a first in this show is I'm going to preview a little bit later on a brand new episode of Fishing Tales, an unseen episode of Fishing Tales, which I'm going to watch with you. So how about that, everybody? That is most certainly worth hanging on for, and please share this post while you're watching to try and pull more people in, because we need to keep good numbers up throughout the whole duration of the show. There's some really good stuff coming up, including this new unseen episode of Fishing Tales, a brand new adventure featuring me. I've spent a couple of days putting it together this week. It's very off the wall, and I know that you're really going to like it. Now, We've also got tutorials coming up on carp fishing, how to spool up your reel for carp fishing, and how to cast more accurately and at distance. That's well worth hanging on for, and that's before the end of the show. Let's just dive back into a few pictures, and we finished off there with the Jarvis family. How about this one? This is our first winner of the night. This is from Tim Pazar, and you know what? I know that we've revelled in and enjoyed some absolutely fantastic sunsets, but this one is a doozy. What a beautiful scene. The lay of the rods, the fact they're in the water and you can see their reflection. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And the colours, it's a sunset. It's got to be a sunset. Just look at the grasses. Not sure where it is. It could be anywhere. And I think that's part of the beauty. So if you like that first picture, then please send up your appreciation for our first winner, which is Mr. Tim Puzzart. Tim, please use the new email address, matthayesfishingshow@outlook.com, to claim your prize. State the prize that you've won, which is in this case you've won the Berkeley Connect bulk spool, and leave the rest to me, and claim early, please, Tim. And if Tim, if you're still there, how about this? He can't win twice, but if he could have done, he would have done, if you know what I mean. This is a picture that Tim sent in of a carp that he caught. Now, of course, I did ask you to inspire me with beautiful fish. Well, folks, if you agree that you are pretty close on to the perfect carp here, send them up. I think this is an amazing, beautiful, beautiful picture. It's a wonderful mirror carp, of course. All the peach and bright orange colours, especially around the ventral area. And then that double line of mirror scales, big plate scales, beautifully, beautifully preserved. The small head that you associate with classic carp, the sort of carp that you see in illustrations and on bags of ground bait and boilies. It really is an absolutely gorgeous fish, Tim, and I am really envious of that one, mate. I would love to catch that fish. I'm not normally a man who wants to go for a double capture, but that one I would make very much an exception for, my son. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Now who's this? This one is Stuart Powell with his partner, and we've got a catfish there. They've both decided to get in on the action, as you can see, and love obviously has no bounds. Not sure what it was. I'm suspecting it was probably France or Spain, but very, very nice indeed, you two. How about this one? Now, this one's coming from Stuart Powell. Beautiful fish. This pike, not the biggest pike in the world. That's not really why we fish is about. It's about beautiful fish that you make me want to catch. And in this case, Stuart Powell, Steve Keeler, you have succeeded, because that is a beautiful pike caught using a very beautiful fly. I don't know whether you made it yourself, but I love the pink and red and white in it. And, you know, it really is beautiful, mate. So well done on catching that fish and inspiring me. And here's another person who inspires me. This is young Scott Wilson, flatty fishing on the beach. It looks cold, it looks damp, it looks miserable, but that lad's got a glow that would light every beacon all the way along the coast. He's absolutely loving it. Look at him. He would rather be there than any other place in the world. And he's holding a flatfish there. I don't know whether it's a plaice or a flounder or a dab, Scott. I can't see from here. But you've inspired me, because I can see your passion in that photograph, my son. That's absolutely fantastic. More pictures coming up very shortly. And let me remind you that the best photograph wins a pair of these. This is the Penn Affinity Mark II. It's got a beautifully designed spool. We're going to see more of that in a moment, everybody, because I'm going to show you how to spool up a reel like this in a film made by a very good friend of mine, young George Howard. It's a lovely film, but when you see the way the line lays on this reel, you'll want one. So let's just hope it's you that wins. It is a pair. So it's got a lightweight graphite frame, forged aluminium long stroke spool, 6+1 stainless ball bearings, excellent line capacity, 2 line clips, that's very interesting, manual bail arm, another excellent feature, with slow oscillation and a whole host of other stuff. So an amazing prize there. Runners up, I'm supposed to choose 10, but I'm actually probably going to come to about 12. Berkeley Connect, which is a fantastic line. Now Mick and I have used this stuff. It's very abrasion resistant because it has a slick coating, is probably the best way to describe it, but it does do well in snags, and it's also a dense line, so it sinks quickly. And anyone that carp fishes will know that really you've got everything that you're looking for in a carp line, including the reliability built in there. Highly recommended this line. I've got a number of spools of the 12 pound in bulk to give away this evening, so that's fantastic. Now, talking about spooling up reels, as a point in general, one of the most important things, Stephen Bourne, Matt Ruston and Adam Keynes, is spooling up your reel correctly, isn't it, Sean Gardner and Tony Young? Yes, it is. And the reason for that is friction. Now, if you know how to spool your reel up properly, you'll find that as the line leaves the spool, less friction is generated, the line will fly to the guides much more easily, and the end result is you will cast further. So whenever I teach people to cast, the first thing I always try to get them to understand is that don't handicap yourself before you start. Set your reel up correctly, spool it up properly, and you'll be away. Now, a good friend of mine, George Howard, who's a fine young videographer as well as a good fisherman and all-round good egg, volunteered to make a little film for me during the lockdown, and it's absolutely fantastic. We'll hear it for George in a minute, but it's a really nice little tutorial to illustrate the point I'm talking about. So this is the stuff you need. There's a spool of the line. You've got your 2 reels and a pair of scissors. So you don't need a lot to do this correctly. Here's the line, the one that I've been talking about. So this is 12 pound Connect by Berkeley, and 1200 meter bulk spool. Fit the reel seat to the reel, lock it in position, and open the bail arm. Now, this is the new system for securing line. Look at that, there's a sort of recess on the spool. The line passes underneath. Now, I've always tended to tie mine on, but I'm told that this is a brand new Fandango scheme, so far be it from me. You're in trouble if you get to the end of that much line anyway. Notice that George is winding the line through a cloth. That's to stop him burning his fingers, but creating enough compression so that the line will actually build up on the spool quite evenly. You can do this at home this week. You must give it a go. Wind evenly, and eventually you get a result like this. Absolutely beautifully spooled, under pressure, straight off the ground. It's a very nice looking reel, folks, isn't it? Somebody's going to win 2 of those this evening, the Affinity Mark II version. So very nice. Can we hear it there for Penn Reels? First time as a sponsor on the show. I'm sure it won't be the last. I think they'll be pretty impressed with the results that they get from being involved with this show and the likes of the clans involved in it. Anybody here from the Smedic clan tonight? I know there's a few in from my family, so good to know that you're all watching as well. But there must be someone in from Smedic. Dom Storer's watching, Craig Palmer, Frankie Logan, Jamie Harrison, Jason O'Leary and Trevor Catchpole. Now remember folks, please keep posting, because I look back periodically, and if I happen to look down and your name's there, I'm going to read it out. Plus we get loads more comments, and please keep on sharing, keep on liking, send up the loves and the likes as much as you can. It really does make a difference. Now, here is something from an all-round good egg, really. There are lots of really nice people in fishing, and if you agree with me, you know, by all means, give yourselves an absolutely enormous round of applause, because, you know, we're clannish enough here not to, not to be beyond that sort of self-congratulatory stuff. Are we, Harry Mack, Tony Brunton, Christopher Dukes, Gary Woodcock, Alan Walsh, or Jordan Shah-Hembry? No, we are not. We can be quite self-congratulatory on times, but one of angling's really nice blokes, and I do mean a great guy, is Dom Garnett. Now, Dom actually does quite a bit with the Angling Trust, but he's a very talented lad, is our Dom, and he's a fine white writer. He's done work over quite a few years now with the Angling Times, and he knows how to write a very, very good fishing yarn. So let's hear it from Dom. Somebody born in Dudley. Who was that? Come back. Oh, it's gone off the screen. Whoever you are that was born in Dudley, good on you, our kid. It wasn't Josh Moran, wasn't Neil Fallows or John. Oh, Fish with Bish. The Bish is on from Smethwick. Whoa, he's from Quinton. He's from the posh end. Good to see you watching, Bish. And if actually there is a thing called Fish with Bish, which you'll find on YouTube, which is Bish's own channel, and it's fabulous because when Bish makes his shows, it's in his house in Smethwick, and I just feel I'm there with him. You know, it's just a shot of reality when I'm surrounded by all the snow and all the wilderness here in Norway. Ben Wall, not far from the West Brom ground. Good lad. Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Well, lovely. Tammy Robson from Amble in Northumberland. What a beautiful place that is. One of my favourite places to fish. Ambleside. William Gray. Les Merry watching with Heather. Lovely to see you folks. Anyway, let's get back to Dom Garnett. Apparently Dom is selling this book, his book Crooked Lines, for $9.99, including postage and packing. And I did actually make a note here, just bear with me. Yes, apparently, if you want to get a copy, and I do recommend it, you are supporting a really talented, nice bloke, and it's well worth it, this book. Dom's on dgfishing.co.uk. So look up DG or Dom Garnett Fishing.co.uk and have a look at his book. David Wood Brignall's just rushed home from fishing to watch this. Good to have you aboard, mate, because I think I've got one of your pictures later on, so it's good that you made the effort. As is Luke Freeman, Guy Ward, Perry Springate, Steve Morton, the posh end, even the birds fly upside down there. I think he's talking about Quinton. Nick Wright, Ben Plews, Adrian Faunt, Mick Perkins saying quality show again. Thank you so much, Mick. You know I love doing this, and I can never get off early enough, and I always get told off for not getting off early enough. So we've got the distance or the casting tutorial coming up, a brand new episode of Fishing Tales before we go off the air, featuring me, 2 days in the making and making even. It's very unusual and quirky. Stay with it because it's got, quite a couple of surprises. It's very interesting, isn't it? Harry Mack, Sean Anderson, Alex Moses, Charlie Brennan. Phil Coupland's decided to join us. Good lad. And I would imagine, yes, Karen Turner is on as well. That's fantastic. Matt Tango, great name, mate. You should be a pop star. Perhaps you are. Who knows? It's amazing. Anyway, where were we? Yes, I know where we were. We're going back to your pictures because I've got quite a few to go through. We were, of course, with young Scott Wilson, who has been flatty fishing on the beach. And talking of that, we've got another Scott now. And look at that for a beautiful fish. If you like this picture, you know what to do. I, of course, try to look at the quality of the fish, but you can't help but also look at the quality of the picture. And this is a really beautiful fish. It's a fine common carp, beautiful proportions, a long fish, slightly different display. Nice treatment of the photograph, young Scott Wilson. I think you've done a very nice job. Look at the way the light just catches the fish's back and kind of just graduates from being very bright and gradually just eases down the flank of the fish, picking out that beautiful detail in relief there. Superb. Okay, so thank you, Scott. Who we got now? Now, this one is Michael. No, it isn't. It's Nick Wright. Nick Wright, what an amazing picture this is. Now, everybody, I did say, please, in this week's Why We Fish competition, please inspire me with beautiful fish. This is not a big carp, but have you seen a more beautiful carp than this? I mean, seriously, have you? It is absolutely, it's like a painting. And this photograph hasn't been over enhanced. It really is a very realistic representation of what must be the most vividly covered, most beautiful, normal, and by that I don't mean koi carp and some of the variants. It is utterly exquisite. And can you imagine a photograph if that fish was over £30? It would absolutely blow your mind. So Nick Wright, send it up please, not only for this magnificent fish, if you agree with me that it is a truly exquisite carp, please like, love and send up your wows. And also for our second winner this evening, our second winner of the Berkeley Connect line, £12 breaking strain, sinking line, coated, brilliant stuff. Yes, folks, it's Nick Wright. Well done, Nick. Fantastic. Okay, I love this, folks. Just watch carefully on this fabulous photo sequence, which has been prepared by Michael Tasker. Talk about dirty, rotten scoundrels. This lad here has caught this fish. I believe it was about £16. And he's so pleased with it. He's trying to look all serious. And they're saying to him, go on, left a bit. No, just hold the fish. That's it, mate. Yeah, lovely. And then wallop. They hit him with a load of water like that. I mean, I must admit, that is the sort of thing that I would do to the Duke. Or anyone really, if I'd thought of it. So congrats, Michael, for your skullduggery. And it does prompt me to think quite seriously about whether to, in future shows, offer you the opportunity to roast one of your friends. So if you send in a picture that embarrasses one of your friends, obviously with intolerable reasons, this is a family show. We don't want embarrassing, not smut. But send in a sort of family-friendly but potentially embarrassing picture. And if you like the idea, I will spend possibly 30 seconds, possibly even a minute, taking that person to pieces. Please make sure it's the sort of person that won't be mortally offended. And of course, please let me know if you would like me to do the friend roast, whether you think that's a good idea. We don't like controversy. It will all be good-natured and never intended personally. We don't do that sort of thing on this show. Anyway, who have we got here? This is a great shot, actually. Look at this. This is Max Loesch with a £12 bream. Wow. Now, he's got his daughter with him there. I'm not sure of your daughter's name, Max, but you're both looking absolutely fantastic. And that bream, well, that is an amazing fish. It's very, very deep. Incredibly so, actually. What an amazing fish, mate. Over £12. I could well believe it. I'd have believed bigger, I think, if you'd said. So that's another fantastic fish. And let me give you our last, for the moment, Berkeley winner. And it is Marcus Morris. This pick is fantastic. I call it almost a leather. I asked you to inspire me this week in Why We Fish with your pictures of beautiful fish, fish that would surprise me or make me stop in my tracks and look. And this is obviously such a fish. Not only is it special because of its size, but it's also, as near as I can tell, is possible to a leather carp. I think there may be a couple of scales right at the back on the other side in maybe another picture I've seen, but who cares really? This is an amazing carp. So if you agree with me that this is an amazing fish, as Tammy Robson does, Tudor Jones, Michael Harrington, Gareth Manifold and Craig Palmer are all wowing about the bream. Well, we're on the carp now, and just look at this fish. Now, let me explain to you folks what a leather carp is. So we've all seen a common carp, and we've seen a couple of very good examples of those earlier on, and we've seen mirror carp, which are fish with larger plate-like scales. Well, basically the leather carp is a mirror carp variant without any visible scales, and that makes this fish, true leathers are very, very rare indeed. So if you agree that this is a special fish, and that Marcus Morris, its captor, is rightly a winner of a bulk spool of Berkeley Connect line, please send up your likes and send up your loves. Well, we've already looked at how to fill a fishing reel up and how important it is to fill a fishing reel up correctly if you want to be able to cast further. And I think that's a point understood by Gareth Evans, Rob Staniland, Ian Lewis, Mark Robson, Paul Bottrell and Ian Wynne. I think they totally agree with that, and so would I. But let's also look at another end of being able to cast, and that is the actual technique of being able to cast. And I'm talking here in this instance about carp fishing. Now, this isn't one of those tutorials in which you see me launching some extraordinary ridiculous casts with amazing contorted body movements that only an Olympic athlete could possibly achieve. And I'm talking about the movement of the rod at hyper speeds that, you know, you would need a very high speed camera to even possibly get a freeze frame of. And also various implements, gloves and specially reinforced rods and special leads and, you know, all sorts of laid back fancy Dan styles of casting. Well, I don't fish that way, so I tend to stick to fishing casts really, but decent fishing casts. And there are ways that you can cast more accurately. Now, I know that this is a subject that a lot of you are interested in, and don't forget, we've got still to come a brand new episode of Fishing Tales, which I've made this week. We'll be watching all of that before the end of the show. There's lots more pictures to come. Another reminder, please, if you do anything, please share the post associated with this live. If you do that, I'm going to announce next week an amazing competition that you will want to be involved with. The bigger the traffic for this live show, the better the prizes get. We're now talking about a fishing holiday, the like of which that I think you'll be very surprised about and will want to win. It's for a pair of people, and it's going to be based on all the shares for this month, this live show and the next 3 live shows. All the shares for the show post will be entered into a free prize draw to win that amazing prize. Now, let me also tell you, I've said that this is the people's show. Because of the traffic that you've driven, because of the shares and the likes and the love that you've given the show, we really are on the move. There are more and more prize sponsors coming to me every day. And this is another successful show. So make this as big as you can. Watch it as long as you can. Share it as much as you can. Get as involved as you can. And who knows what prizes we'll have. I can promise you next week we'll have them the first in the brand new series of carp bait features for a start off. So we're driving even more content, aren't we? Marcus Morris, Tammy Robson, Perry Springate, Dave Tolman's on, Mike Hardy, Abraham Aitchison, Pete Langley, Les Stewart, lovely, and Donna Hill. So, let's get back to the subject of casting. We've already dealt with the spooling up of your reel, but there's also a certain amount of technique involved. I'm going to show you now 2 basic casts. The first one we call the basic overhead cast. And the best way I can describe it is to imagine that the rod is a large razor blade that may bisect your head in half. Now, that's a very unpleasant thought, and I don't want you to think of all the nasty bits. But it's the best way for me to try and get you to understand that you really want the rod to be directly overhead so that it's right down the centre of your head as you're facing forwards. And you'll see that illustrated in this film. So let's just have a look at that now. And the stuff that you'll see used in this film is also the prizes, strangely enough, the Affinity reel, and I'm also using £12 Berkeley Connect line. Look at the stance, legs evenly apart, facing the target. Imagine you're balancing a stone on the end of the rod, straight down the centre of your head, so you're seeing two rods now as you're looking forward down your nose. Pull with the lower hand, push with the top hand, let go when the rod tip's pointing at the church steeple, and let that thing flow, baby. It's all about technique and applying that pressure with the lower hand, pulling in, the top hand going forward, and then the release point there at the top of the swing. And there you go. Beautifully accurate cast, the hallmark of the overhead. Now, if you want more distance, you've got to open your body out. The feet now are spaced 2 feet apart, but one's forward, one's back. Look at the way the weight distribution changes. The line is now coming in front of my body, so I can cast through a wider arc and pull the rod. There's the change of weight off the back foot, driving onto the foot front, and then pulling in with the lower hand, pulling that rod tip right under the elbow, and then pushing forward with the top and letting it go. Here's another look at the feet, the way the weight shifts in real time during the cast. It's as subtle as that. Here again, shifting back, going back onto the back foot, bringing the rod round smoothly as if I've got a weight balanced on the end of the rod and I don't want it to fall off. But it's all one movement, no pause, forward swing and then bang, back swing. Pull that rod in until it's underneath your armpit and then let go when the rod tip gets towards the top of the church spire. And that, my friends, is how you do it. Remember, if you want more distance, to open up your body stance so that you're bringing the rod through a wider arc. And it really is about how good you are at acceleration and about breaking the cast down into a series of moves, doing them all smoothly, but then putting them all together into one continuous movement so that in fact when you make that cast like clockwork, you never actually stop. You're always moving. And when you're moving, you have momentum and energy. When you stop, the energy dissipates. And so with those simple changes that anybody can do, you will achieve amazing differences in your casting. And although that was applied to carp fishing, it will also apply to any further form of leisure style fishing. There are different amended casting styles with different styles of fishing, particularly in lure fishing, certain types of sea fishing and so on and so on. And we will cover those in future episodes of the Matt Hayes Fishing Show. I'd like to say good evening to my lovely wife, who I know is watching upstairs and will no doubt be waiting with a cup of tea when I finish, because she loves me so much. Mark Poyser, Johnny Fuller, Linda Penfold Saxon, how are you? She's saying, yeah, more practice, the better at it you get. And that's absolutely right. You know, the more you practice, the luckier you get. And casting is really all about, somebody saying lovely casting technique. Really, it's about not being in a rush. Now, I like to think about casting, whether it's with a fly rod, whether it's with that rod, as a little bit like dancing with a partner. It is an intimate experience. And so often you see people, when they're casting, actually pushing the rod away from them, as if it's not their friend, but the rod is your friend. And you should caress that rod, and you should allow it to perform that ballet around your body by making your movements sinuous and smooth, but positive and flowing. And casting is really the most beautiful part of fishing. It is the most dexterous and essential skill, and that is why, you know me, I'm very much anti-bait boats, and anything really that takes out of fishing that most essential of skills, the cast. Anything that takes that away is no longer on my to-do list. I am very, very adamant about that, and I love casting. I love the joy of casting, and it is possible to go and fish and cast and still improve massively even at my age. So there you go. Here endeth today's sermon from the Reverend. But if you agree with me that casting is really important, please send up those likes, because, you know, it's something that gives me great ideas about future content. Talking of which, of course, there will be another Why We Fish campaign coming up next week. You'll be able to attach your pictures to any of the posts relating to the live. The posts normally start on Monday. I'll be working away at putting together the prize list for the following week and putting together all the material, which seems to grow and grow and grow. This show really is on the move, folks, so who knows where we'll end up. Dale Hawkes, Christopher Eliot, Ben Wall, Richard Neath, Jay Borton. Hello, Mum and Dad. I know you're watching again tonight. Technology is an amazing thing, isn't it, eh? Thank you to Phoebe and George for connecting my wonderful mum and dad so they can watch me from lockdown, and it's lovely to have them on board. Makes me a bit nervous though sometimes. Anyway, lovely to have heard from the Smethwick posse. I remember posses last time. Lots of people come in, like David Harries, people, Niall Harty, Nigel Sharp, all names, Billy McGee, all names that I recognise from social media. And I know that you're all forming your own clans. So keep that sweet, people, because we're actually going to be looking at doing some clothing for you soon. What do you think of that for an idea? Maybe just some Matt Hayes Fishing Show branded clothing, hats and stuff. And it'll be not too long before we go out fishing again, I hope. And when that happens, well, it really is game on, isn't it? Because then it's all about posting your catch pictures. Just coming up to the top of the hour, I've got one more show to go with, then some final pictures to go through, and the announcement, of course, of the winner. But what I'd like you to do now is to join me in watching this brand new adventure. It's an episode of Fishing Tales that took place a few years ago. And ostensibly, it actually started out with me and my obsession for brook trout. Now, if you've never seen a brook trout and you're not normally interested in trout, don't worry about that, because actually this film isn't as much about brook trout as it probably should be. There are some surprises in there which I think you'll really enjoy. But second, let me also say that it took place in probably the most remote part of the world that I've ever actually filmed in. And it was an area that we went into by float plane, and we all had to sign release forms because we were completely out of satellite reach. We were out of cell phone reach. We were deep in a completely uninhabited river valley. And basically, if one of us had been bitten by a snake or attacked by a bear or had some serious illness, there wouldn't have been a lot that could have been done. So we really were completely off the grid. And for that reason, it will always stick in my mind. A very good friend of mine joined me on that journey, a chap called Ant Glasgow Jr. And you'll be seeing more of Ant in future episodes, because he actually specialises in urban lure fishing up Manchester way and catches some amazing fish. And I'm going to hook Ant up with Tom Barlam, another good friend of mine, and they'll be bringing you some regular, really interesting urban scene lure fishing stuff and much more. Babs, of course, will be in next week's show. Don't know about Cecilia, but I'm going to try and get in contact with her. If you like that stuff, if you like the films, please send up those likes and loves now, because what we're about to watch is this brand new episode that I've made during this week of Fishing Tales. It's a few minutes long, so please bear with me. I promise the winners of the competitions are coming up at the end, and it's very important that we watch for as long as possible. So here you go, folks, a brand new episode. Hope you like it. One of the most beautiful fish on the planet lives in some of the world's most remote regions. It's a fish that I once dreamed of catching, and having caught my first wild brook trout in Ontario a few years ago, I began to dream of catching another. Shunning the easy option of catching a stocked fish back at home, nothing less than the real deal, a wild fish would do, and that meant travelling to the wilderness. The aggression and beauty of the brook trout is almost unrivalled in the trout world. With their bright painted spots and white-edged fins, there are few fish that can rival their livery. This adventure would see me venturing into the depths of the Canadian wilderness. Miminisca Lodge is located on a huge lake of the same name. It can only be accessed by float plane. Thankfully, back in the 1950s, the de Havilland Company built classic float planes, and they are still the standard mode of transport to some of Canada's most remote wilderness fishing lodges, including Miminisca. The river that we were due to fish flowed out of the lake that the lodge was located on, and it was a short flight, but it really was about as remote as you can get. With no cell phone or radio coverage, this was truly off-the-grid stuff. The first day at Miminisca was an amazing adventure. Our guide, Mark Melnick, had laid on for us to fish an amazing river, 4 wild brook trout, a species that I love fishing for, and you'll see why later. Nonetheless, it was a trip that almost didn't happen.
Client safety is first and foremost, but luckily, around 10 o'clock the weather lifted and we had a window that we could get out of the lodge and get up to the Freestone River.
After touching down on the lake, it was time to unload the canoes and fishing equipment before attempting a launch just a short distance downriver.
So the brook trout up here are basically unpressured all year long. And they're big. We call them the jewels of the north. They are big fish and they're ravenous. They are so hungry and they're so fly friendly that they even take dries.
The river constantly varied in character, from wide and slow to narrow, rocky and fast. With Mark constantly leading the way, we found ourselves exploring an amazing place. Because the river was low for the time of year, we explored the riffles and well-oxygenated water first.
So we're just going to work our way down this river, kind of carrying the canoes with us and fishing as we go. And it's hardly the purest end of the sport, I've got this monstrosity of a dry fly on, which I've called Jiminy Cricket. Yeehaw! Well, it took a streamer down. That's not a brook trout.
It's a walleye.
There you go. Well, that's my first walleye on a fly. Interesting fish, the walleye. It's very, very similar to our zander, but the colours are much more bright and there's a lot more yellow in them. Anyway, it may not be a brook trout, but...
The first fish that had taken my fly was a walleye, a species almost identical to the European zander. Until I'd hooked and caught one, Mark had no idea that walleye even existed in the remote wilderness river that we were fishing.
Now, is this a brook trout? It feels a bit more lively.
It is.
No. It's a walleye.
With 2 walleye under my belt, it was surely time for a brook trout, and when I hooked up the next time, it was a much more lively fish.
I don't think that's a walleye.
Seen flashes. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't think it's a walleye, mate. I think this could be what we're after.
It's a good fish.
It's a good fish.
It's a big walleye.
No, it's a big walleye. Man! Oh, I wonder what this is. I wonder if it's a walleye or a...
It's a pike.
It's a pike?
So now I'd caught 2 walleye and a pike. I was beginning to doubt that I'd ever get a brook trout.
we've come down here to this part of the river, and it's much cooler. I think there's a spring here or something, and the water is much cooler. Well, the problem we've had today is that the water's been so warm, there are no insects hatching, and these are cold water fish really. Look at that. The markings on these fish are just exquisite. Great.
Well, it wasn't the biggest brook trout in the world, but it was truly wild and beautiful, and besides, the best was yet to come. Well, everybody, if you enjoyed that, please put it together for the amazing cameraman, Mr. Anders Dahl Eriksson. Andy Eriksson, my very good friend from Norway, joining me out there in Ontario a few years ago with none other than Ant Glasgow Jr. We had a great time when we were out there. And in fact, that brook trout adventure will be continued in another episode. Because in fact I've got quite a lot more. The fishing did get much better. I managed just one on the first day. On the second day, Mark took us to another river, and boy was the fishing good there. Some really nice fish, fantastic stuff. So much more to come from Miminiska. And also I might as well now let the cat out of the bag, I suppose. I know you all well enough these days to let you know this. Basically, if you share any of the posts in the next month relating to the show, to the lives, basically this post specifically, to encourage more people to watch it on Catch Up, you will automatically be entered for a competition for 2 people to win a week's fishing holiday in Canada for carp. So there you are. I've said it. It's a carp fishing holiday. It's a fantastic prize. I will tell you more about it next week when I know more about the details with the prize sponsor, a good friend of mine, Vince, who has actually put up an incredible prize. I mean, I think you'll agree that is an amazing prize. A week's fishing in Canada for 2 people, fishing for carp. I think it's on Rice Lake, which is where I've fished before. And so basically, I'll be in discussion with the Ontario Tourist Board in the coming weeks, I'm sure, because if you like that material, I really don't know, you see, until you send up all the appreciation, whether films about fishing in Ontario are of any interest to you. But I'm looking at your reaction and I'm pretty sure that they are. So I'll be talking to the Ontario Tourist Board. Let's see what else we can cook up in terms of potential competitions. But also, let me tell you, I've got some great material featuring me and Ant and Andy Eriksson in our adventures as we made our way across Ontario in a heat wave. And that was the beauty of Miminiska Fishing Lodge, which is where you saw me fishing there, along with he's got his own fly fishing show. I think it's called The New Fly Fisherman. His name's Mark Malnick. He's a fishing guide, an extremely good fishing guide, I might say. Miminiska Fishing Lodge is right out there. You've got to go in the De Havilland Beaver to go and reach the place. It's not just about brook trout fishing. The lodge is on a huge lake that's full of walleye and pike, and it really is a fantastic place. Can't recommend it enough. More Ontario, unseen Ontario fishing adventures coming up in future episodes of the Matt Hayes Fishing Show, which you can watch live, and of course you can watch on Catch Up, can't you? Chris Eliot, Billy McGee, Barry Mooreshead talking about Canada. His dad loved the place. Craig Palmer, Rob Staniland, Gavin Geeney saying, what about Brownie? Well, he's been on already, mate, so you must have missed that, but there you go. John Cady, Amy Powell, Craig Robinson, Michael Tasker. Lovely to have everybody here, and I know you're still watching in numbers. Thank you for doing that. It is important you hang in. Let's get back to your pictures. And last time we looked, we had a Berkeley line winner, and it was Marcus Morris, if you remember, with his fabulous leather carp. So let's just hear it another time for the wonderful Marcus. Well done, my son. Beautiful carp. How about this? Lee James, beautiful fish, cracking barbel. I think Lee, I've got a feeling he's from around my neck of the woods somewhere, but it doesn't matter. I asked you to inspire me with beautiful fish, and I think you'll agree that is a beautiful fish. Kelly O'Neill. Now, I think you've got to send up the wows with this, because when I saw this picture, I didn't know how else to react. I mean, I've been looking at to see whether it's a Photoshop job, Kelly. It's just utterly astonishing. I gather it isn't. But if you look at the size of the head and the proportion of the fish and the body, it is an astonishing carp, mate. I mean, I am quite intrigued by it, and I think a large number actually of our viewers will be quite interested in that carp. I have no idea actually how heavy it was. I mean, it looks a fair old lump. I mean, what do you think, folks? I'm saying it's got to be north of 40. It must be. It's got to be over 50, hasn't it? I should think. Look at the size of it. I mean, Kelly doesn't look like he's, you know, that guy that used to have sand kicked in his face on the beach. He looks like he can handle himself. So it looks like a big, powerful fish. Tiny head, that delicate head. I'll be honest with you. It's not beautiful, really, is it? I mean, let's be honest. But it is amazing. And I think we pretty all want to catch it. Imagine landing that in a swim that's only about 2 foot deep. I mean, it'd just be utterly horrendous, wouldn't it? You'd have to get it to swim on its side. Wouldn't be easy. I've done that before, you know. Now, who's this? Now, this is another one of our winners. Kelly O'Neill was a winner there. Don't forget, if you are a prize winner, Matt Hayes Fishing Show at outlook.com. Matt Hayes Fishing Show at outlook.com. Please write an email with your postal address, the prize that you've won, and I will make sure that the prize is sent out to you. Please send them earlier in the week. The worst thing is that people come towards the end of the week or don't claim them at all, and that really is terrible. Now, this is young Jordan Northcott. Once again, I asked about inspiring fish, and this is what we call a fully scaled mirror carp. You can see it looks like a common carp at first with all of those scales, but in fact it's a fully scaled mirror. Another unusual and incredibly beautiful fish. Imagine what that one would look like illuminated in the daylight. Steve Atkins saying what top man Andy Erickson is. Absolutely right. He may even be watching tonight. He can be a bit of a dreadful blighter as well, though, at times. No, he's a good lad. Richard Neath, Nathan Sharp, Alex Moses, Andrew Mackay, Stuart Powell saying 40 plus easy on that carp. Well, it's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, huge. Christopher Eliot loves your fully scaled Jordan. Now then, here is young Gemma Wilson. And she has got a smile to light up what looks like a day that's being lit up by some sunshine after some rain. I'm thinking that this must be Angler's Paradise. Of course, it is the place where fish of that ilk, golden coloured fishes, are most often caught. So, in fact, I don't know, Zen, if you're still watching this, if this is Angler's Paradise, you might as well let me know. I don't know, I probably won't see it though. But anyway, what I can tell you is that this is the wonderful Gemma Wilson, and this is her golden tench, which really is golden and lighting up an otherwise dull day. Talking about inspirational fish, I had to give a prize to this one because it really is the most amazing looking carp, and obviously it's huge. So if this is your favourite, send up the likes and loves. Even if it isn't, send them up anyway, and then send up even more when you see the next one. But I think you'll agree this is an incredible fish, a beautiful way to display it by Jay Borton here. A carp that I think we would all dearly, dearly love to catch. Looks like a big water. There's a car back down in the background on the far end. Maybe France, probably. Obviously a warm day, but an absolutely beautiful fish. And once again, Jay, you are a winner of that Berkeley line prize. So congratulations to you, my friend. Now then, we all love Jan van den Root, our friend from Holland, who does entertain us with a fine picture from time to time. And once again, Jan has come up trumps. Yes, folks, I love a windmill, and I know you all do. This is Jan's cosy little fishing world, and he sends it to us in these lovely little postcards every week, which he pops into the show. And of course, the signature now is Jan. And in fact, he's going to haunt you, mate, because you'll spend all your time trying to photograph fishing scenes with windmills in them. But it is absolutely super. So thank you for that, my friend. Tammy Robson's back. Her battery died. Well, that's good. Ian Parkhouse, he's pleased about it. Ben Wall talking about the lateral lines on the fish. Jordan Church saying apple slice queen. That might be the name of the fish. Could be. Dave Tolman says it's a gorgeous top quality pick. Chris Girling, Kelly O'Neill, Matt Tarker weighed 64 pound on the nose. So let's just jump back to Kelly there. So that's Tarker, okay. And it weighed 64 pound. Well, I mean, to be fair, everybody, I mean, crikey, what a fish. I don't know how you felt, Kelly. You'll probably post something. Remember, everybody, you can watch this on Catch Up as well. But it is an extraordinary fish, isn't it? Extraordinary. And in future episodes, maybe we can tell the story behind some of these amazing fish. Anyway, how about this one here? This is from Gus Diaz, an incredible pike. I believe Gus fishes up in the Lake District somewhere. It's not the best photograph. It's obviously had some problems there, but I think it's basically a genuine picture of a very, very big fish. And I wouldn't like to say how big. He's claiming over 30. To be honest, it does look bigger than that. But what an absolutely huge pike there. Jonathan Johansson has sent in this absolutely stunning picture. I just love it. The improvisation with the rod rests. Jonathan, of course, is based up, I believe, in the northern part of Norway at the moment, but he does fish a lot in Sweden. And I believe this shot was taken in Sweden, where he's just improvised for rod rests. What a fantastic setup. Lovely picture, mate. Very, very nice indeed. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Emma Taylor, everybody. Please put it up for Emma Taylor. Not only for what I'm about to tell you, but also look at this fish. When you talk about inspirational, beautiful fish, beautifully held, beautifully displayed, great smile. I love everything about the pic. I'm intrigued by the backdrop, the slightly industrial buildings. I love the fish. I love the colours. It looks like a winter pic. I just think it's fantastic, Emma. And Emma's a bit of a star, actually. So please show your appreciation for her, because she did send in a few pictures. And boy, does Emma catch beautiful carp. She really is absolutely amazing. I don't know how she does it. Now, her boyfriend, and she doesn't say who he is, but I think she should thank him very much, because he has obviously taken a number of these absolutely glorious photographs of Emma Taylor, who surely is destined for future stardom on this show, judging by the amount of women we've got taking over. So if you'd like to see more Emma Taylor pics, and I don't know, Emma, whether you can make fishing videos and films on your phone, or whether your boyfriend's any good with that, or whether any of you can entertain us with some short fishing videos. I'll be asking people to do that. Once we get back out on the bank, it'll be all about posting catch pictures and, of course, film. That will be coming next. Here's another one of Emma's efforts. And she's just got a great touch. Another very interesting carp. Almost a two-tone fish from the head down, and then a very creamy white belly. But the photo's got kind of a heavy, slightly nostalgic treatment. But I think it's a lovely picture. I think Emma is a young mum. I'm not sure, but I know you're loving the pictures, everybody. Seen loads of applause here. Send it up for Emma, because I tell you what, she's taken the trouble to send in these pictures and get them noticed, and I think she does deserve applause. So here we go. Stay tuned right to the end, and I'll announce the winner. Eliot Taylor's Gallery. Look at that. Another Berkeley winner. Young Eliot Taylor has put together this fantastic gallery of some of his catches. He's taken the trouble to do that. He's caught some absolutely beautiful carp, cracking fish. He's obviously keen on his overnighters, and I'm keen on awarding you a bulk spool of Berkeley Connect, young Eliot Taylor, let me tell you. I've also got another picture coming up of Emma Taylor in a minute, so if you're watching Emma, stay tuned. I haven't got to the end yet. Now, I know this one's going to stop you in your tracks, because it did me. It's another Berkeley Connect winner. This time, it's David Wood Brignall. Now, we've shown one of David's pictures before. If you remember last week, we had a wonderful picture of a fjord scene that was taken looking back from the fjord on the return from a fishing trip. Well, it was this man. This is a halibut caught off the shore. Some of the best cold water sea fishing, probably the best cold water sea fishing in the world, not just in Europe, is off the Norwegian coast. And I can see that I'm going to have to get up there with David and his mates and get myself a halibut, because let me tell you, I've never caught one. Can you believe that? And I am fascinated. Doesn't have to be a big one, but I think I'm going to put that right this year. And when I go, I'll make sure I film it and you will learn all about it. How about that? So, Fairweather Fisherman sent in this absolutely glorious carp that looks as if it's been carved from wood. It is an absolutely stunning fish. Please send it up for this picture, because this is the brief. It's not necessarily about the size of the fish, but my word, what a fish that is. Absolutely superb. And another Berkeley Connect winner. Now then, this one from Billy McGee. I do love these family montages. I know you all do too. It's that time of night. We're very near to the end. I'll have to sign off very shortly. But it's been an action-packed show. Thank you so much to so many of you for staying with me. Please do stay tuned, of course. And here we are. Wonderful one from Fairweather Fisherman. And I'm just wondering now whether the feed has frozen. Possibly it has. And here we go. Billy McGee's lovely family montage. Absolutely superb. And this one, another Berkeley winner, Barney Hipkin, everybody. Barney Hipkin there. Adam Walding with an absolutely amazing barbel. A really stunning, stunning fish. And last, oh no, it's not last but not least. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I promised to finish by 9:30, folks, and I must. Barry Smith. How about this? This almost won it. The actual picture itself, I could have used at any size, but this is a Berkeley winner. The Berkeley Connect winner of the Connect spools of line. It's a fantastic photograph. Very sincere. Congrats, Barry. It is absolutely superb. And folks, I'd like you to put your hands together for the winner tonight of a pair of JRC reels, the Affinity reels, Mark II versions that you saw me fishing with earlier on, that you saw the line being spooled up in. Let me just show you who our winner is. And I told you to keep watching. Emma Taylor, because of course it's Emma Taylor. She sent in, I love this picture. I just love everything about it. The fish particularly is stunning. She just catches beautiful fish. And I like the shot. She's obviously so keen, a family person, massively keen on fishing. Got some great photographs. And I thought, you know what, Emma? Yeah, you do deserve these reels. If anybody does tonight, and I know we often go for kids and everything else, and that is all wonderful and everything, but really, Emma, you do deserve these reels, and I can see that you're going to go out and enjoy yourself fishing for them, and that's with them. And that's why I said to you, Emma Taylor, not only are you a worthy winner, but please, you and your boyfriend, if you're out fishing together, If you can create any short films, you know that in the future I am going to feature them. Ladies and gentlemen, we have really come almost to the end of the show, but I must ask you, please, finally, to thank our contributors this evening. Before I do that, remember the importance of sharing. This live broadcast will become a post. You may be watching it on catch up. If you share, you'll be entered for that amazing fishing holiday where you will win a trip for two carp fishing in Canada. And I think that is a tremendous prize. More prizes next week. Put your hands together, everybody, for the wonderful Babs Kaszewski, the fantastic Cecilia Grunberg, the wonderful Xenia Drury-Gregorek, the inimitable Duke of Market Deeping, Sir Michael Brown, George Howard for such a wonderful video, Tobias Fran Strom for showing us how to catch perch, and of course, I suppose to me as well for doing my bit and not making a mess of the live tutorials again. It really has been a great show, folks. I kid you not, this show is on the move. New things are happening all the time. You might not think that your likes and your shares and your participation make any difference, but I can tell you that they are the oxygen of everything that I'm doing at the moment, and who knows how far we can take this show in the next few weeks. Just imagine what we'll be able to do when we're all out fishing again, and I don't think that's going to be too long away. Who knows, next week we may have more news. I'll be scanning the Angling Trust site. I suggest you do the same. I'd like you certainly to think about buying Dom Garnett's book, because he's such a good egg. Please visit Dom Garnett's website and have a look at that book offer. Oh, and while you're at it, a big hand for our sponsors. We've got some fantastic prizes tonight in those two Penn reels won by Emma, and all those wonderful spools of Berkeley line. I know that everybody loves our sponsors as much as we do. They give us fantastic stuff, and in these difficult times, believe me, sponsors, Berkeley and Penn, we really do appreciate it, because it's helping me to create something that I really enjoy doing and that the people watch me love being in. Next time around, more Babs, more Xenia, more me, more Duke, more Ant Glasgow Jr., some Carp Kitchen, and who knows what else. It promises to be an amazing show. This was the Matt Hayes Fishing Show Live. Good night and tight lines.